Ambassador, good evening. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Today's a holiday. It's a victory day in Vietnam.
Oh yeah, it's a great day
It's a national holiday.
very important day for Vietnamese. I mean, remembering the day that the Vietnamese, not Vietnamese tanks rolled into the presidential palace in Saigon, right?
That's right. That's right.
What's the mood over there, Ambassador?
I think the mood, everything has to do with COVID now. I think in many countries, including Vietnam. The mood in Hanoi and in Vietnam is that the life is getting back to normal. Many business establishments are opening. The government has declared a relax of measures so that schools are reopening again. Many restaurants, hotels, sports training facilities are opening again. Of course, with the control measures are still in place. For example, social distancing and other preventive measures are still in place. Except for other bars and nightclubs, many non-essential services remain closed according to the government order.
How has life been different in the past month? Has it changed a lot during social distancing period for Vietnamese people?
Well, Vietnamese people follow the government advice and regulations quite strictly. They have very high discipline, and the government of Vietnam has implemented the measures by the textbook, meaning that they have instituted the measures very early in this stage. One of the first countries to stop the flights directly from Wuhan and China, for example. And right now in Vietnam, there's still some 69,000 people being quarantined all over the country. They're taking this coronavirus very seriously, and the people are very understanding. But now they are, after several weeks of quarantining inside their own houses, they're beginning to get itchy and they want to come out and celebrate their so-called success in the fight against coronavirus.
You know, of all the ASEAN countries, Vietnam now stands out as an example of success in dealing with the crisis, and it has won international praise for its effectiveness in dealing with the virus. So, Mr. Ambassador, what do you think are some of the factors that make Vietnam so exceptional in this situation? Things that we can learn from Vietnam.
I think Vietnam is a very disciplined country. They have a very strong central government, and the provinces follow the directions from the central government quite strictly. And also the government did not worry so much about the economy, because their economy has been growing 6-7% over the past several years. And so the Prime Minister of Vietnam has said clearly that the health of the Vietnamese people comes first before the economy. So Vietnam has implemented quite a bitter pill to control the virus. So far, there's still 270 cases of infections, and there have been no new cases for the past 14 days, meaning no new community transmission over the past 14 days. And there are no fatalities, no Thai infected. I'm very happy about that. The country has discharged some 219 patients. So there are now only 51 people being treated in the hospital.
And Ambassador, you said people are quite comply with the measure by the government. And what about economic impact? Because we know that Vietnamese street food vendors are really important as well. So how are these small and medium-sized businesses have been affected?
Well, the economy has taken a heavy toll in this struggle, and Vietnam is, as you know, is chair of ASEAN and also is a member of the UN Security Council. So Vietnam takes this 2020 as a very important year for them. That's why they have want to take care of the coronavirus very early and want to get it done very quickly. So the GDP of the first quarter of 2020 in Vietnam is only 3.82%. That's still growing. For Vietnam, that's the growth that is lowest in 10 years. For a country, for a fast-growing country like Vietnam, that's a low number. But compared to many ASEAN countries, Vietnam is still growing, and people would look at Vietnam as a very fortunate country that's still growing. So after the second quarter, hopefully Vietnam will come back in the third quarter or fourth quarter. So many forecasts of the GDP growth for Vietnam will be positive for the year 2020.
Mr. Ambassador, in the case of China, some Western countries have raised questions about the transparency of the information regarding the spread of the virus there, and then there's questions about the credibility of the statistic in China. But what about in Vietnam? Is there an issue with transparency, with statistic that the government has putting out? Because of course people may have question about the such a low infection rate in Vietnam. But is it an issue there in Vietnam?
Every country has its critics, including Vietnam. And when Vietnam reported quite low numbers in the beginning, and people point to Vietnam and to the transparency of the government. Mind you, Vietnam has its fair share of super spreaders as well. For example, there were a few super spreaders in Hanoi, and the government took immediate measures to block off that neighborhood. And I even drove by and checked out that area as well to make sure that the situation is being implemented. And Hanoi is not the only one spreader that took place in Hanoi, but also there was super spreaders cases in Ho Chi Minh City as well. And
that has been openly reported about,
multiplied
right?
quite quickly.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
And this super spread has been reported openly by the media there, right?
Yes. Yes. Vietnam is quite a different country now. There are tourists all over the country. There are foreigners, expats working all over the country of Vietnam. Thailand is a very high-ranking investment country in Vietnam as well. We're number 10. We put in over $10 billion in Vietnam. We're number one trading partner of Vietnam in ASEAN as well. So Vietnam has millions of tourists all over the country, and so the question of transparency may be a question of in the old times of Vietnam.
Ambassador, and what about the issue of testing? Do you think, or what's the number of testing has been done in Vietnam on COVID-19? Has it done quite a good number?
Yes, there's been a number of testing in Vietnam as well. Vietnam has come up with its own kits, testing kits, rapid tests as well. The number, I think Vietnam has taken the approach of fight against the coronavirus with limited budget country. Vietnam is still a developing country. So I think similar to Thailand, we test in Vietnam, we test for in high risk area all over the country. to focus to find infections, and the test is not like the model of South Korea or a European country where they test hundreds of thousands of patients.
So shall we say that it's business as usual right now in Vietnam?
Pretty much. If you walk around in Hanoi, in Ho Chi Minh City, people have come out in full force. I think they are quite excited to be back with their own lives. The traffic is, I think, almost up to 100%, and the air quality has deteriorated to the point where it was before COVID. Meaning similar to Bangkok, by the way.
Nice.
Hanoi.
Nice. Mr. Ambassador, as you know, that Thailand is about to ease many of the stringent shutdown measures starting this Sunday, right? What about in Vietnam? What is the timeline for the? We know that the country is moving toward the lifting of the lockdown. So, what is the timeline for this?
Vietnam has implemented the ease of measures already, meaning that most provinces and cities, including Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City, have now the measures have now been relaxed, except for some high-risk areas where gatherings are still prohibited. So this will go on for a number of weeks in Vietnam, and the government is quite watchful for the results. Vietnam is a little bit a step ahead in terms of progress compared to Thailand. Right. So I think but together we are moving in the same direction.
And what about Chinese tourists? Can they travel to Vietnam anytime soon, or have they already been travel to Vietnam again already?
No, similar to Thailand, tourists and foreigners are still prohibited to enter the country. Only those with work permits, or only those who come to work with special skills are allowed, and they have to ask for visas. Similar measure as Thailand. And there's still many tourists still are stranded inside the country as well, Vietnam.
So what is life like for ambassador like yourself and your colleagues in the diplomatic community under the lockdown?
We have our own self-quarantine as well. We have cut down on our consular hours, because our consular, no tourists, they don't ask to come for visas at our embassy. We focus more and more on coronavirus in providing assistance to Thai nationals in Vietnam. We just facilitated a special flight, repatriation flight on April 22nd, one of the first repatriation flights to Bangkok, actually. And now we have a number of tourists and Thai people who are still stranded in Vietnam, and we are organizing another mission on the 9th of May. Now
how many
we
of
are
them?
working with airlines to send them by cargo flight. Okay. Actually, on passenger seats.
How many of them, Ambassador? How many of them?
We have 20. I have to ask for a quota, as you know. I have to ask for a quota for permission from the COVID situation committee through Ministry of Foreign Affairs, through the help of our consular department, and thanks to all of the agency concerned who facilitated our flight on April 22nd. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of my colleagues and all of the agency. Everything went smoothly. People were happy, and we're still chatting through our line group with people who are still being detained right now in Thailand, who we sent back from Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City.
I see.
So are there still lots of Thai people in Vietnam still in the queue to return to Thailand?
The next group is 20 people in Hanoi. We have a couple of sick people who are in need of medical attention right away, and they want to return home to do that. And we have a new mother with a young born. We have students. These people have the priority according to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Department of Consular Affairs. These people have the priority compared to people who live and work as expats in Vietnam. So those people, they have their apartments, they have their life here. They, like us diplomats, we live and work here sort of for long periods.
Ambassador, today is national holiday in Vietnam. So what's their plan to commemorate today as Victory Day for Saigon?
Well, it's actually a big day for Vietnam. This morning, my residence is right near the mausoleum. I saw in the news that the whole government now presented flowers and pay respect to the late President Ho Chi Minh. This as an official ceremony. And many people in Hanoi and all over the country are celebrating today as well.
Yes, but is it new normal way of celebration?
I don't see a lot of difference because people in Hanoi and in Vietnam have always worn their masks all the time already. So people on the motorcycles, they walk around on the streets, and people they look the same. There's just a bit more distance between themselves.